What is up, guys? You got Not the Worst here, bringing you another silver per hour breakdown video. And this week we are doing Big Daddy Caddy. No, just kidding. Big Daddy Crescents. And so a couple things before we go ahead and jump on into it. First things first, it's located down out here, and it is in the desert. So you want to make sure you have a few items prepped if you haven't gone to the desert before. If you have, skip on ahead. So anyways, it's located just south of Sandgrain Bazaar, sort of to the east a little bit. If you've gone to the World Boss Kudum, it's almost directly south of there. There's two entryways, or two direct entryways anyways. One around this little side from coming in around the Aquin part, which is usually where I go to just because the rotation I use is a little closer this way. And there is another entrance on the other side here. For the purpose of this video, we're going to be going around this way. Since it's in the desert, a couple things you want to have prepped for it. Obviously, bring your foods or whatever that it is that you're going with. But you're also going to need these bad boys here, which is purified water and star anise tea. What these do is when you're in the desert, you can get desert sickness debuffs that are put on you randomly from time to time. During the daytime, you have to use water to cure your heat stroke or whatever it is. In the nighttime, you have hypothermia. You got to use a star anise tea to get rid of it. It does get kind of annoying over time. There are things you can do to help prevent it a little bit. There are pets that will give you a little bit of resistance to it. These little fluffs here and puffs here are going to be helping us out today. And as you see, I also have the desert camouflage, which helps with your resistance there as well. And although I don't have a campsite, there is a I believe there is a buff you can get there to help with that, to help reduce it. So next thing we're going to look at while we're heading on out to Sandgrain, and then we're going to hoof it from there on foot. Let's check out the item drop and see what you can get from Crescents. As the name implies, you can indeed get Crescent rings there, which is pretty much the point to going to Crescents like ever. I skipped it. It's right here. Okay, so obviously, ring the Crescent Guardian. That's what you're looking for. That's why you're at Crescents. If that's not what you're looking for, you shouldn't be at Crescents probably. This technically drops here, the Seraps, but much like Kadri or Gahaz, it's not off of all of the mobs that are there. It actually only drops off of the gatekeepers. There aren't elites. There are some newer, heavier, bigger Crescents that were added to the area, but we're not grinding those for this video. It wasn't that 20-hour grind. That'll be a separate one when we do 20 hours of the big guys that have a higher chance to drop the ring, but they don't drop scrolls or anything else for it. So anyways, the Seraps only drops from the gatekeeper that does spawn in Crescent, so you won't be seeing any of these dropping for this 20-hour video. And well, the video is not 20 hours, but the grind time I was there was. Blackstones, obviously, as always. Scroll drop rate, when we'll take a look at how much it drops. Soiled rings, these have a small percent chance to actually give you a ring, and aside from that, you can stack up 100 of these and then trade it in for a Crescent ring at two different locations, one being that Akhman spot we looked at earlier. We've got the Adamantine Black Magic Crystal, Asula whatever, Caphras, which are now new improved and worth 3 mil instead of 1, and we have the Ancient Spirit Dust, which of course turns into Caphras. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump ahead while we're over to Sandgrain, and I'll show you what direction I put my dude, and then just kind of auto walk from there to get straight up to Crescents. So be right back now. Okay, so when you're about to leave Sandgrain Bazaar, you're on the little southern/eastern exit of it right here. Get your desert resist fluffs and puffs out if you have them. If not, get your waters ready. So anyways, I kind of go towards, you can see that mountain out in the distance here. I kind of head out this way a little bit, and then once we get past this area here, we are going to adjust our bearings just a little bit, and it's towards almost to what you can see of the end of this mountain range. Yeah, so from here, just kind of turn my guy, and I want to go, around that rock formation. But if you see that end of those this mountain range here, the mountain range doesn't actually end there, but you can't view the rest of it until you get a little bit further down. So you kind of point your character that way, and that'll get you over to that little Akhman node right there, which is right in front of the entrance that we want to head to. So right there, where you can see where my target thing is, right about there is where we're going to want to head. I have to move around a little bit because of these rocks here, so you just kind of circumvent those. So I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead. I'm going to run this way, and then I'll jump ahead to when we get there right now. Okay, so we made it over to the little side mountain, so we're going to go ahead and climb up here and head on in to show you the rotation I prefer to use while we're running up this way, because there's a little bit of pathway to get to it. I'm going to go ahead and cover a couple of things that I always cover in these silver breakdown videos. I had Kama Blessing up the entire 20 hours for it. At the time of recording, or the time of grinding rather, I had 3 tier 3 pets and 2 tier 4s at the time of recording now. I actually got a third tier 4 from that weekend box thing that I got, which was pretty cool. Node level 10, my ecology is up to 7%. It was 5% for the previous ones. The other thing about this spot that's actually fairly important, as you're going to see, the PvP amount here, I would say is around medium-ish, maybe even a little below medium, but it's a little more than nothing. There's going to be people grinding here. It's a fairly common spot for people to get to, or excuse me, for people to grind to. And the thing about that is the rotation's pretty important. There are many variations you can do of the rotation I'm going to show you that are just as effective or maybe even slightly better that I don't know about. But I'll show you what I do. And the thing is, if somebody's on a rotation here, you kind of have to make a decision. You're either going to duel for the spot and hope they abide by it if you win, switch server, or just kind of make up a subpar rotation, which is it's really going to affect your grind speed, like big time, like big time, or excuse me, your drop rate. So anyways, this is part of the rotation here, but I'm gonna head to the node manager to show you where he's at first, because he does have a Caphras stone daily for you. So you're gonna come around this circle, head right on up here, and we have our bro node manager right here, and just snag the daily. If you haven't been up here before, there is a chain of quests you have to do first to unlock the Caphras daily. Obviously, Caphras dailies are now 3 times more valuable than they were. They give great contribution, but now the Caphras stones are worth 3 times as much as they used to be. So let me go and show you the rotation that I used for this, and then we'll pull up the charts and kind of check out how everything played out. So from the node manager, I'll run this little area here. This usually has way more mobs, but there's clearly somebody grinding here right now, so there's a large mass of mobs here. Slide on down. Yeah, this is also cleared out. But you go this way, this mob's all here, all these mobs here that are now missing. Also here, there's mobs all this way when there's not somebody grinding. And through here, and you can see he's killing these. I usually don't go up these sides. I'll kind of pick one and just kind of clear on the way with my range skills to go on my way up, and then I'll go around these nodes here, and then when I get to this point, I'll clear these mobs first real quick, because this goes around in a circle, and then go around the circle where he's headed now. He's kind of running the same rotation I run, and then I'll just go through here, killing these mobs in the circle. And the reason I kill that group that was just off to the right of the circle is so that way when I get up here, I can just follow the mobs right back up to here, and you can see we're right back where we started, to that large group of mobs, and you just run that. There are instances when I do these types of grinds, I'm not hardcore grinding whatever, I'm watching shows, I'm chilling out, doing whatever while I'm doing it. But when I was paying more attention, and you'll see it in my trash loot when it was like a lot higher, when I am paying attention to it and doing it, I was over clearing in some scenarios. When that happens, I would usually just use that side room that had mobs on both sides if I found myself over clearing a little bit, and maybe add a little bit more there, or even go past that large mass of mobs that's right next to the node manager. You could even go down to that little crevice just below where my pointer is there, and clear a few mobs there while I was over clearing. It didn't happen super often since I wasn't really engaged in it the whole time for 20 hours, but it did occur. Oh, I don't have those hotkeys. Okay, so let's go ahead, pull up the grind table, and take a look at how we did. Oh, also, that was my gear. So, I don't know why I put syrup in the column, because they only drop from the gatekeeper guys, but yeah, I did. Scrolls we came out to about the same as we're seeing at pretty much every spot nowadays. Keep in mind, I don't use loot scrolls for these videos while we're doing the 20-hour grind. This is without loot scrolls, so between 5 and 6, that's been pretty consistent with every single spot in Valencia since we started the 20-hour grind series. So there's that. Crystals, I literally only saw 2 throughout the whole 20 hours, so that was a pretty rare drop, unlike a place like Centaurs that just gives tons of crystals every single hour. Caphras was between 1 and 2 pretty consistently all the way out through. I did hit 4. Did I have 5 once? No, just 4, and sometimes 0. That did happen. Dust was about as often as a petal was dropping, I guess slightly more. Not a whole lot. Blackstones, almost none. Trash loot, I ended up averaging about 75, 69, but if you look, it definitely was like slower in the beginning, and then I started paying attention a little more. I don't think I ever quite hit 8K, but it's 79 at some points. Between 79 and 69, really it was only in the 6s for those first couple of hours, kind of deciding what route I was going to go with the rotation. And the other thing too was that's where I really noticed, like, I was kind of dealing with other people grinding in the same area, and this just isn't a zone that really supports it, since the mobs die super easily. I mean, the recommended AP for the area is like 140. Yeah, and to be efficient here, I mean, and really get through it, I mean, maybe 150, 160 with a Kudum, and you're probably fine on most classes to be able to do that without issue. So like, a lot of people grinding it, and you really just, it does affect your trash loot pretty heavily if other people are in the area, even taking a few groups of your mobs. It can hurt that quite a bit. Now, so as far as how you make money in this place, it was averaging about 5 soiled rings. You can see in some scenarios it was getting 7, and on other ends some RNG bad luck there with 3. Rings came out to almost, it was a hair over, averaging 1 every 3 hours. But if you do look at how it's spread out, there was several hours like, here's a ring, and then none for 4 more hours. And then I got 2, and then 1 right after it. Obviously, those 2 hours was awesome. Then none, 1, 0, 1, and then another stretch of 4 hours with no ring, and a ring, and another stretch of 4 hours with no ring. So a lot of times you can go to this spot and feel like it's really terrible, because if you came in and you had like 4 hours, you could potentially sit here for 8 hours and not get a ring drop. It does happen. Or you might go for 2 hours and make 150 mil just off rings alone for that. Asula rates, whatever. Traces are actually getting added to these videos because the price of these is so much higher. It's actually pretty significant to add to the value for a silver breakdown, and it brings things up. So we end up with an average of 50 mil. But the thing about this spot in general is it's a very, very, very ring or no ring spot. That's really all that matters. If you look at the actual money from each individual hour, the only ones that were like good were the ring drops. And if it wasn't good ring drops, then it was because we got massive amounts of scrolls compared to normal. So this is almost double what you see on average for it, brought the total net up overall. Now the other thing too, compared to the previous 20-hour grind videos, 50 mil does seem on the upper end, but this is the first one we've done with the new marketplace. And since having the new marketplace, things like Caphras, traces, and whatnot have all increased in price. Scrolls actually stayed right at about exactly the same as they've always been, which was kind of interesting. But because of that, it is adjusted for the new prices as they are, and even the Crescent rings are worth a little bit more than they were prior to the central marketplace on NAEU. So that was kind of interesting to see as well. But yeah, that's the breakdown there. Overall, if my total opinion is, if you're looking for XP, never go here. There's no Marnie stones. There are a lot of mobs, and they die all in one hit super easily, so the density is great as far as that goes, but no Marnie stones. It's just not going to be worth your time if you're looking for XP in general. The other thing with it is storage does become a little bit of an issue if you don't have market maids. What I was kind of having to do, and since the central marketplace does exist, it helped out a lot with this, is I put an alt over in Valencia. Since I don't frequent there, I just put one alt over in there, and what I would do is just dump every time I have 5 storage maids were on cooldown, I would dump all the tokens that I could, which obviously 5 of them can move 333 each, so times 5. I would dump them in the storage maid to kind of maintain the weight, because in an hour getting that much trash loot, you're going to fill up your weight pretty heavily, and I'm just a little short of like 1700 weight, like 1670 or something like that. And yeah, if I didn't use the maid as often as I could to store that trash loot, you'll definitely be over. So that's something to think about too. You could potentially bring a mount over here if you wanted to. I didn't while I was doing it, but you could park one if you're going to do several hours in a row here, which is definitely possible by overstacking your mount, but it's a little bit of a hassle getting your horse out here and then back again, which is why I didn't, and just kind of use the maid system. But it's at least an option to you if you don't have maids. If you have more maids, it's probably very easy for you, and then that's not a problem. And then the last point for it, as far as money, I don't know that I'd recommend this place as like a straight up money place. If you're working on getting Crescents, I think it's a good spot for that. I do think I was overall pretty lucky with these ring drops. The fact that the soiled rings exist makes this, you know, a little easier to see a ring drop. We don't see things like Shira Ruins where we were averaging 1 every 7 hours because we don't have soileds there. Out of these though, only 3 of these rings were world drops. The other ones out of the total that we got, which was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we had 7. 3 of them were drops. 4 of them came from soiled rings, and proc from there. So you can keep that in mind. If you're looking to get Crescent rings, check this spot out. If you want kind of a chill grind spot, this isn't really that chill. You'll run into people, they will fight you. You'll have to jump servers to get a decent rotation, but if you're trying to just relax and don't mind a terrible rotation, there's definitely some areas you can go to in there and kind of just hang out and grind, but you're going to end up at like 5,500 trash instead of 7,500. Taking a lesser rotation because you burn through the mobs so quickly. It's really important. So that's the analysis for it. That is the end of the breakdown video. As far as channel updates for things going on, the next spot I haven't fully decided, but I think we're going to do Manchems for the next 20-hour spot. I've been kind of wishy-washy on it. I know Pilaku's really highly requested. I got to stay motivated for these things to sit and grind them for 20 hours, especially in spots I don't really want to do for it. I'm kind of feeling Manchems. I have a level 10 node there already, so I'm leaning towards that. Plus, with Caphras Stone price being 3 times as much, I think farming some Caphras in Kama Sylvia might be a good idea. So I'm definitely leaning towards that. As far as that goes. As far as live streaming, we did some Tet Bazzi attempts last weekend. It did not go well, so we do not have a Tet Bazzi. Blew through a bunch of money, but we're going to hit it again this week. I won't be able to stream on Sunday, so we're going to do a Friday night stream and then the regular Saturday stream as well, but there won't be a Sunday one. The Friday one's going to be shorter too, so it may only be like 3-ish hours instead of we were doing like 5 or 6 or sometimes 8 if we keep it going. But so it won't. Shorter stream on Friday, normal stream time on Saturday. And if you haven't checked out the stream before, make sure you jump into the description below, head on over to the Twitch page. It's linked right there, and you can drop a follow so you get a notification when we go live on Twitch, and it's going to be Friday and Saturday this week. Apart from that, if you are new, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you get updates when we put these videos out. I'm trying to get a 20-hour grind video out every single week. I've been able to do it the last 5 weeks in a row, so that's been good, and I will do my best to get Manchems out and ready for next week, so I'll be working on that following up. I might be able to do some grinding on stream at night this week before Friday, but we'll see how that plays out from there. Anyhow, that is going to be it for this video. Be sure to drop a like for me if you did enjoy it. Want to see some more of these, they will be coming. Everybody, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.